Most of what you've been told about narcissistic manipulation is a lie. It's not always loud, arrogant, or aggressive. In fact, the most dangerous narcissists use silent, invisible tactics that completely hijack your brain before you even realize what's happening. They don't break down your door, they change the locks from the inside. Today, we are decoding the exact psychological playbook they use to make you doubt your own reality. In just a few seconds, I'll show you the exact phrase they use to instantly reset your emotional boundaries. This isn't about calling your ex toxic. This is about understanding the cognitive blind spots that allow emotional predators to slip past your defenses. By the end of this, you'll be able to spot their traps miles away.
Let's start with tactic number 1, the phantom idealization phase. You think you've met someone who perfectly understands you, but they are actually just mirroring your deepest desires and insecurities back to you. They scan your personality, find your emotional void, and temporarily become the exact puzzle piece you've been missing. This triggers a massive dopamine flood in your brain, chemically binding you to them. But here is the catch. It's entirely synthetic. So what happens when they decide to pull the plug on that dopamine? They start the devaluation phase. It begins with micro-criticisms, tiny comments disguised as jokes or helpful advice that slowly chip away at your self-esteem. They create a reality where you are always slightly wrong, keeping you off balance and desperate to earn back that initial perfect version.
This brings us to tactic number 2, tactical amnesia and gaslighting. Once the devaluation starts, your brain naturally tries to defend itself by pointing out their inconsistencies, but the narcissist intercepts this with a psychological counterattack. They don't just deny what they did, they rewrite the history of the event. Phrases like, "you're overreacting," or "I never said that," are deployed not as defensive statements, but as offensive weapons to attack your cognitive baseline. Why is this so devastatingly effective? Because the human brain is wired to seek consensus. When someone you deeply trust consistently denies your reality, your brain eventually decides that you must be the broken one, effectively short-circuiting your own perception. This induced confusion keeps you trapped, spending all your energy trying to fix a memory glitch that doesn't actually exist.
Tactic number 3 is called covert triangulation. A narcissist knows that an isolated mind is a compliant mind. But if they just locked you in a room, you would rebel. Instead, they build invisible walls using other people. They subtly introduce a third party into your dynamic, an ex, a coworker, or even a fabricated rumor. By constantly comparing you to this phantom competitor, they manufacture a state of permanent anxiety and jealousy. But here is the most sinister part about triangulation that you won't realize until it's too late. You end up competing for the approval of the very person who is emotionally starving you. You are so distracted by the manufactured rival that you forget to look at the puppet master holding the strings, completely isolating yourself from real support systems.
Now let's uncover tactic number 4, cognitive overload through word salad. When you confront a narcissist with a legitimate issue, they will never give you a straight, honest answer. Instead, they immediately launch into a dizzying maze of circular conversations, bringing up past unrelated mistakes, shifting the blame, and projecting their own hidden flaws directly onto you. You have to realize that this isn't just poor communication skills. It is a highly calculated defense mechanism specifically designed to exhaust your brain's executive function. What is the exact physiological result of this non-stop verbal barrage? Your brain simply becomes overwhelmed by the sheer volume of chaotic, conflicting information. Your cortisol levels spike instantly, triggering an intense fight-or-flight response that temporarily disables your logical reasoning. You end up apologizing just to make the psychological spinning stop, completely forgetting the original healthy boundary you were trying to enforce in the first place.
Finally, we reach the most addictive and dangerous manipulation tactic, intermittent reinforcement. If a narcissist were always abusive and cruel, you would easily recognize the pattern and walk away. To prevent this, they randomly sprinkle in moments of extreme affection, perfectly mirroring that initial phantom idealization phase we discussed earlier. You are left starving in a desert of emotional neglect, and suddenly they hand you a single drop of water. This unpredictability creates a powerful trauma bond. Your brain releases a massive hit of dopamine when the reward finally comes, making the chemical addiction even stronger than a consistent, healthy relationship. But simply knowing these tactics isn't enough. The real secret to breaking free lies in how you respond. The ultimate kryptonite to narcissistic manipulation is the gray rock method, becoming completely, actively, emotionally unresponsive. When they can no longer extract any emotional reaction or energy from you, their psychological game entirely collapses.
Now, let's talk about the post-breakup trap, the hoovering technique. Just because you successfully implemented the gray rock method or walked away doesn't mean the manipulation is over.
When a narcissist's emotional supply runs low, they will attempt to hoover or vacuum you back into their reality. This isn't because they suddenly realized your value or feel genuine remorse. It is simply a restock operation. They will send a seemingly harmless text, like a memory you shared, or manufacture a fake crisis that requires your specific help. But what is the hidden danger of responding to just one of these messages? The moment you engage, you reset the entire cycle. They immediately know the door is still unlocked. Their brain registers your response as a validation of their power, and the devaluation phase will restart. But this time, it will be much faster and significantly more aggressive.
The final tactic you must understand is the smear campaign and the illusion of closure. When a narcissist realizes they can no longer control you, they will immediately pivot to controlling how other people see you. They will preemptively play the victim, twisting the narrative so that your reactions to their abuse look like the abuse itself. You will feel an overwhelming urge to defend yourself, to present the facts, and to demand a final, honest conversation to clear the air. But waiting for a narcissist to give you closure is like waiting for poison to act as its own antidote. You will never get a genuine apology because their fragile ego literally cannot process absolute fault without collapsing. True closure doesn't come from their admission of guilt. It comes from your radical acceptance that their mask was the illusion and your peace is the reality.
Another devastating invisible trap is called future faking. When a narcissist feels you pulling away or demanding accountability, they will suddenly paint a highly detailed, vivid picture of the perfect future you have always wanted. They will promise marriage, a business partnership, or finally taking that dream vacation. This isn't a genuine plan. It is an emotional credit card they are maxing out to buy your current compliance. They are actively hijacking your hope. But how can you instantly tell the difference between a real promise and a future fake? Look strictly at the timeline of their actions, not the poetry of their words. A future faker will aggressively resist taking even the smallest, most basic physical steps today to achieve that grand vision tomorrow. The illusion keeps you trapped in a waiting room that has no doors.
Tactic number 7 is proxy abuse, commonly known in psychology as deploying flying monkeys. When the narcissist can no longer reach you directly because you have established strong boundaries, they will recruit your friends, family members, or coworkers to do their dirty work. They will feed these third parties a carefully crafted victim narrative, manipulating them into contacting you on the narcissist's behalf. These people often genuinely believe they are helping to resolve a conflict. Why is this proxy network so psychologically damaging? Because it makes you feel like the entire world has turned against you, creating extreme social paranoia. It forces you to defend your reality, not just to your abuser, but to everyone you love. The only defense is total boundary enforcement. Absolutely refuse to discuss the narcissist with anyone they have sent.
This brings us to the ultimate realization: you cannot heal in the same environment that made you sick. The narcissist heavily relies on your empathy and your endless willingness to compromise. But once you finally decode their tactics, their entire playbook becomes painfully predictable. You simply stop reacting to the hoovering, the triangulation, and the exhaustive word salad. You understand that the manipulation was never actually about your personal flaws. It was always a desperate reflection of their profound inner emptiness. Reclaiming your mind starts the exact second you stop trying to make sense of their chaos and start rebuilding your own cognitive boundaries. So, what is your crucial next step? If you recognized any of these hidden psychological traps today, it is time to arm yourself. Hit the like button, share this video with someone who needs to hear it right now, and subscribe to learn something today to master your own mind.